Hi guys, I welcome you to my channel. Today I'll solve this course schedule problem 207. Very interesting question, and 70.2 thousand people have liked this question. And what is saying that you'll be giving a courses, num courses, and prerequisite. Okay, and for each prerequisite, AI, comma BI means if you're going to do AI, you have to complete BI. Basically, if you want to do course A, you have to complete first course B. Okay, and so for example here pair we have we have AI is equal to um, consider case for a1 is equal to predicate of 1 is equal to 0 comma 1. It means that if you want to complete 0, you have to complete 1 first. Okay, so return true if you can finish all courses, otherwise return false. We have to just return it. We have to just return true or return false based on the requirement. So what is saying that I will be having a prerequisite and a num course. Okay, so see here we can have two conditions where each course is dependent on each other only once, and like we do not have cycle somewhere, and if we have cycle then we will return false. So we just have to detect that if a course have cycle or not, if of if we found any cycle or not. A course of cycle means one course is dependent on other and other is dependent on one. Like if you find a cycle in a courses, you have to find like this. So I'll just take one example and try to explain you what I understand from this problem. Okay, so we have first example, this prerequisite of 1. So we will first create a adjacency list. So you know already what is an adjacency list. So for 1 I will create 0. So 1 is dependent on 0, and for 0 there is no dependency, right? So for 0 there is no dependency. I will make it this, I'll make it empty array. So for there is 0 there is no dependency. So now I'm going to iterate these prerequisites. So I'll check that if one have dependency or not. If there is here we have 0, but we'll check if 0 is dependency or not. If that is empty, there is no dependency of 0, we will just return true. But if we have 1, right, we will return true, because 0 do not have dependency. So what you understand here, that that the if a course do not have dependency, or if a course have dependency with empty array, we will return true in that case. Just remember this, we will be using this concept or this keynote on the future. Okay, and see here, now consider the case when 0 we have dependency called 1. So 1 is dependent on 0 and 0 is dependent on 1. Now again we'll go to the go and iterate what is the, do we have 1 in the visited or not. So see here, so another thing, very simple thing, we identify that you have to keep track of the node that we have visited or courses we have already studied, right? So we have one first, we will loop through prerequisites. So we in the index 0 what we have 1, and it will try to check that if 1 is visited. If not visited, I will go to the all the prerequisite of 1. So all the prerequisite of 1 is 0. Okay, 1 is 0. Now I'll again call DFS or whatever, we can solve this using DFS. So again call DFS with this all the prerequisite of 0. So what are the all the prerequisite? We have 1 here, but 1 is already studied, right? No, 1 is studied means to like we have not studied yet, but to study 1 we have to study 0, but to study 0 we have to study 1. So we have, like, this is the studied group. This is the basically a group where we'll keep that this we had this particular uh, subject we have to study. So we have to study, right? But to study 0 we have to study 1. So see here, we are creating basically having a loop here. So whenever we find such a case, we'll just return false, because we cannot study, because 1 was already in the to study set. And if you're going to loop 0 again, again it's depend on 1 and 1 depends on 0, so there's no like basically uh, clear idea, like clear we cannot do that because they are dependent on each other, and if you're going to study one, you have to complete other, and other is dependent on first one. So this is, in this case we return false. So I will again use another example to explain you. So we have considered a case. I am just creating a dependency list, nothing else. So 1 is dependent on 0, 0 is dependent on no one, 0 is dependent on no one. So whenever a, a course dependent on no one, I'll just add empty array. Okay. So 2 is dependent on 1, 2 dependent on 1, and 3 dependent on 2, and 4 dependent on 3. Okay. 1 dependent on 0, 2 dependent on 1, and 3 dependent on 2, 4 dependent on 3, 4 dependent on 3. Right now I'll try to check that if 0 have now I'll loop the prerequisite. So this is my prerequisite. This is my prerequisite. So do we have 1? Can you uh, like do we have 1 in the to be studied section? No, we do not have 1. And the 1 have children, or 1 have a dependency to complete first. So I will go next, and I will try to iterate all the dependency of 1 first. So 1 have dependency of 0. Now I'll go again call the DFS and try to find the 0 have any prerequisite. So 0 do not have prerequisite, so I will return this true. But once one the iteration of 1 is completed, I will make sure I mark this as a we do not have any dependency. Why? Because again we are not going to uh, do again we are not going to find all the dependency of 1, because you already have check for 1, check the prerequisites of 1, and you found that 1 is doable, you can do 1, or the one course 1 can be completed because all the prerequisites are already done. So I'll mark it done, so it means that 1 we can do. Now I go to 2, again we go to 2, we go to 1, and 1 is already empty, means we there is no dependency of 1, and we mark as true. Correct, no? So you got my point. Whenever you visited and you find that that course is readable or studyable, you can study that course using all its prerequisites, you mark that empty array. So what will happen in, so it will happen that we are not going to iterate at the end of the tree. So consider the case, right? If 3 have dependency of 2, now we go 2 and we'll try to find that what is the dependency of 2, so that is 1. Now again we go to 1 and try to find dependency of 1, is that is 0. And now again we go to 0 and try to find dependency of 0, that is empty array. See here what we are doing here, we are trying to find all the dependency of like dependency of 3, but we know we have already visited 2, so it means that, and it is satisfying, we are coming to 3 because 2 is satisfying already, right? So it means that 2 is already visited, so that's why we are marking, so not to do repeated task. That's it, there's nothing fancy here. So now I'll slide the code and you will get to know more. So let me write the code here. Okay, so we have a, we will have a, what we will check first, what is the length of the prerequisite, length can be 0. So what if length of prerequisite is 0, I'll just return what, return true. Otherwise I'll create a prerequisite array first. So or adjacency list. Adjacency, I am sorry if I written wrong spelling. Adjacency. Adjacency list we have created. It will be an object so that it is very easy to find the, and all object have array inside it. So I as a array, now loop through the array, loop through the what num courses. Okay, so I is a array. Now I in range of num courses. This is how we create a prerequisite adjacency list with the value index. So for the index 0 we will be have empty, for index 1 we will empty, for 2 empty array, for 3 empty array, for 4 empty array we will be creating. Okay, now it's time to populate this value. So I'll loop the num courses. So for val and prerequisite value in this prerequisites. Now I'll just put this into the val dot append pre. Okay, I appended this into the prerequisite. Now what I'll do here, I will write a DFS, or I'll write to be studied. It will consider, it will take a set, and it will basically check the dependency what we are going to study. If there is nothing in the study, we have to study that. Okay, so now I will write a DFS, and DFS will be index, and that will be returning a boolean value. So we'll check that if we have to study that, if I in to be studied, if that particular variable or course like course, I'll write course in studied, in to be studied, I will return false. It means that we have to study again. Now I will we have to study this course. Okay, now what I'll do here, I'll try to check that if the course which is not in the to be studied if this course do not have any dependency. So if uh, adjacency list of course is equal to empty array, it means that we do not have any dependency. I will return true, and that's it. I will add that particular variable, particular course into to be studied dot up add and course, and now I'll just root the all dependency of the this prerequisites or adjacency list. So prerequisite of so if not DFS, like if this pre is giving us false, I will just return, because I'm not going to do again. I'm not going to find another true value because we found already false. Okay, now otherwise I will remove from here first. Why we are removing? Because for that subject to be studied is done, and we will be removing it. After that we will mark that adjacency list of that course is empty, because we are not going to again iterate through on like nested like tree, iterate through the tree of the courses, prerequisite courses. So if we have visited already and everything is true, I will mark as this we have already visited, and this is empty array, so that next time if this course comes, we will make sure that we are not going to do nested search. Yeah, now we will remove this course from the to be studied, because we have studied this course. Okay, We have studied this course and I will remove this to be studied. Now one more thing I have to do here, I will just return true. Return true. So that's it. That is the 8 codes for val and prerequisite. In prerequisite section, and if not DFS val, return false, otherwise return. That's it. Otherwise not. After all this loop is over, I will return true. So you got my point. Let me explain again. If there is no length of prerequisite, I will return true. Otherwise, I'll create adjacency list. You already know how to create it. If, adjacency list. Now I'll put value into the adjacency list using prerequisite. Now I'll create a set to be studied. Why? Because I have to find that if you're not having any loop, this course in the B2B studied, if course in the to be studied, it means that we have found the loop and we have to return it. If that there is no adjacency list for any course, I will return true, means we have reached the last of the we have studied all the course and there is no prerequisite of it, so just return it. Otherwise I will add into the course and I will loop all the prerequisite of the course and I'll check again. Same, DFS is not true, I'll return false. At the end what I'll do, I will remove the course from the to be studied because we have already studied this course from here, and I will mark that course as an empty array. It means that there is no going for, like, if this particular course is just studyable, so if I mark as empty array, it means that we cannot going to go deep down, right? And I'll return true, and that's it. Let me submit it. Let me run it first, and perhaps you forget comma. Okay, we have to write 4I in range. If codes in to be studied unhashable type list. Hmm. Okay, now it is worked fine. Let me submit it. Yeah, it worked. See here, I have bits 57.19% of people. It's very simple, easy to understand, but it took me a while to understand the problem. So if you don't understand the problem, read through the solution, don't watch the video, because video basically what they think, they are telling their point of view. And you can watch my video. If you don't understand, then you go and try to solve the problem. Okay, bye bye, we'll meet tomorrow.